What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome back to the channel. Basically, going to get in here, talk to you guys a little bit. Not going to be in here very long, kind of like I was last week. Come in here, got some things I want to talk to you guys about. It. Some of it is Ravens specific, some of it isn't. But I just like talking about sports in general, particularly football. So give you guys a couple seconds to get in here. If you got any questions or comments you want to fire off, please feel free to do so before I get too far into my slides or whatnot. I hope you guys are having a good one. I'm having a really good day. Any day above ground, my current situation is a blessing. So I'm highly appreciative of the life I have and some of the stuff I've been through and so forth and so on. So on this Sunday, hopefully you're just getting done with service, or you're probably just waking up, depending on where you are in the world. And basically, I'll just talk to you a little bit about some of the topics that I have. It's basically three topics I want to talk to you guys about. One is going to be, two 1,000-yard rushers on the same team. Is that thing possible? Have we seen it before? I'm pretty sure you guys know that we have happen off running back that'll do it, but rarely ever do you have two running backs that have done it when it comes down to clipping 1,000 yards in one season. That's one of the topics I have. The other topic I'll have for you guys will be my top five offenses based on what they have done between the draft, free agency, and what they already have. And then the last talk we got to talk about. We got to talk about the Nick Wright, Lamar Jackson slander. I know he indirectly said, or he directly said, "Hey, look, this is no slander to Lamar Jackson," but his reason for it, leaving him out of his top five, is just ludicrous. And we're gonna dive into a little bit of that as well. So again, if you're here for the first time, please make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to kind of interact with you guys. I want to know who's watching, where you're checking in from, that type of stuff. Don't be shy. I don't bite. I don't particularly know everything about the Ravens or know everything about football or whatever it may be. I'm a highly approachable guy. I believe so, at least. I can get along with anybody, even if you quote unquote disagree with what I put out or whatever it may be. I'm still gonna be able. I still want to engage with you because again, you may help me learn something through me doing these type of videos and so forth. All right. So let me check the comments very quick. If I don't have any comments, we can go ahead and jump into what we want to get down. Okay. All right. Cool. So nobody has said anything. Awesome. All right. So let me add my slides. And then, as usual, as I always say, look, if you guys can't see my slides or you can't read them or whatever it may be, please let me know, hey, I can't read something. Therefore, I can try and make my slides a little bit bigger so you guys can see them and so forth. Because myself, I'm an older guy. I know if I can't read, Times New Font 12, if I know I can't read it, I know some of you guys out there probably struggling trying to read it as well. If you would like to see something a little bit more visual, please let me know. I took my time to make these slides and whatever it may be. I do not claim to be an expert or anything like that. So if I do have a mistake or something like that, don't beat me up too bad in the comments from wherever you're watching. And when it comes down to you seeing these particular slides. All right. So first things first, let me go ahead and maximize it. All right. So first thing first is, hey, look, I always try and give you guys some kind of recap. Try not to do the typical stuff. Hey, look, we're going to talk about, the OTAs. We're going to talk about, the depth chart. We're going to talk about, hey, stats and stuff like that, where we think the Ravens end up individually, some of the players and so forth. I will do those type of things, but I want to kind of get you guys on some of the stuff that's not highly visible out in the airwaves right now. All right, so first topic will be the idea of having two 1,000-yard runners in the same backfield. And what I mean by that, quarterback, running back, quarterback, fullback, running back, running back. When it comes down to this, as you guys can see, this has happened numerous times in the NFL's history, right? But it hasn't always ended in success, meaning, hey, they haven't made a deep playoff run, haven't even made the playoffs, may have not even won the Super Bowl or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of different things that went into just getting the 1,000-yard runners or whatever it may be. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't sit here and say, hey, look, I'm gonna put all my eggs in the basket and say, hey, look, if we get two 1,000-yard rushers, we'll guarantee the Super Bowl victory. Because as you can see here on the slide, the only team that won the Super Bowl with two 1,000-yard rushers was the 1972 Miami Dolphins. That is it. Everybody else is either lost in the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs. And that's crazy to actually think about it, that you have two 1,000-yard rushers and you not make the playoffs. So again, it depends on the team, depends on the complementary football you play with your run game. Then that, in combination with the run game, could now turn around and say, okay, look, if we got a solidified defense, now we can push ourselves into the Super Bowl contender type of discussion. Because without a solid defense, it just is known you're not gonna beat a lot of people when it comes down to the playoffs. In order to make it throughout the playoffs, your defense got to hold up, and you got to basically have a little bit of luck on your side too when it comes down to injuries, and you not having any injuries, or you get the right people back at the right time. And then the last layer to that is the team has to get hot too along the way. If your team gets hot along the way, now we were talking, hey, okay, look, week 9, week 12, whatever it may be, in between that little sweet spot, 9 to 12, right then and there, you can say, hey, okay, look, we hit our stride at the right time. If you hit your stride at the right time, let's say week 13 or beyond, and now you rattle off a lot of wins. And a lot of people don't like the layover either. Whether it's hey, if you're the top seed, you get week off or whatever it may be. And then if you rest your starters in week 17 or week 18, I'm sorry, if you rest your starters in week 18 and you turn around and get that bye the first round of the playoffs, some quote unquote too much time off. I don't like the particular thing about, hey, you say you have too much time off. For me, I would like to ride my horses as long as I can into the playoffs and make sure that, hey, we don't lose our stride as we walk into the playoffs, and we play that first round matchup or that second round matchup after the wild card. All right, so as you guys looking at this particular graphic or this particular chart or whatnot, you see some of the notable names on here. Some of these guys that I didn't even realize, hey, they achieved these type of feats when they were playing. The two that I do know for sure about was the Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, the Mark Ingram, and Lamar Jackson in 2019 tandem. I realized those are two that I'd probably pick out. The one that I didn't think about was Brandon Jacobs and Derek Ward for the Giants in 2008. And as you kind of look over this particular thing, the idea behind this is basically everybody get 200 plus carries outside of Michael Vick. Everybody got pretty much 200 carries when it comes down to getting that 1,000 yards. Now, what does that equate to? As you see in the bottom right? So when you're talking about run plays, we're talking 26, 27 run plays a game, right? That's going to keep you on that's the average right now. So you basically have to run above the average, about 17. I want to say it's about 17. Let me do my math real quick. I'll tell you exactly what everybody needs when it comes down to the carries if they're going to get just 1,000 yards. All right. All right. So if the player is going to get the 1,000 yards, they basically need to get 58 yards per week. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but we have seen there were times where, hey, players aren't the highlight of that particular week. We can talk about injuries. If a player is injured, now we're saying, hey, that particular player misses out on those 58. Now he needs a total of 116 to stay on that particular average. We also look at, hey, look, that particular player may have a week where they run 150 yards. They may even get 200 yards. So at the end of the day, they have to stay above that particular average, and then the offense has to be continuously invested in that particular person. You got to basically almost be deliberate about trying to get those two 1,000-yard rushers. But then at the same time, in doing so, you need to be calculated when doing so, because you can't just say, hey, look, I'm gonna feed this guy the ball 30 times and hey, feed him this 30 times. He's gonna definitely get this 1,000 yards. It doesn't work like that. You got to be kind of calculated when it comes down to, hey, look, I had the play action going. I had some deep passes off of this particular run action. Now I can turn around and hand the ball off to this particular opposite guy that helped me establish the play action. So if you're looking at some of these numbers, like the quarterback, the running quarterback is a big part of this. So if you don't have a two-headed monster or a three-headed monster that you can kind of say, hey, look, I can kind of mix things up for the defense to make them second guess what I'm doing. Now that actually gets harder, right? Because what we're talking about now, look, I want to shut down your run game. I can put 8 or 9 in the box and not have to worry about your quarterback running. The thing of it is, if you have that rushing quarterback, right, I can put him back in the backfield to where, hey, okay, look, he can turn around and get the ball, and that particular run action will have your guys collapse down to that particular mesh point, and now he gets out of the back. Whether he has the edge or he runs straight up the middle, or whatever it may be, you have little to no second level when it comes down to the safety help and so forth. So now it's a foot race between you, that quarterback, rushing quarterback, and your safety. If he gets that particular angle on him, now, hey, look, that's he's gonna go hit his head on the goalpost. So with that being said, the teams that have the rushing quarterbacks probably have a second layer to trying to get these two 1,000 yards rushers. Why is this significant? Because as you guys see down at the bottom, right, there have been 7 times where a team has had two 1,000-yard rushers on their team. And this article, I can't remember who the guy named, who actually wrote the article, but he was basically talking about, alluding to the point of the Steelers having two 1,000-yard rushers this particular season. And that's cool, right? Again, 1,000 yards of rushing doesn't equate to Super Bowl appearances or winning the Super Bowl or whatever, or not even making the playoffs in this particular point. Now, I will tell you, the history has told you a good bit of times these teams have made the playoffs. Okay, but does that line up with the in-season goals for the team? The in-season goals for the team was, hey, okay, look, we're trying to make the playoffs, or we're trying to get to the Super Bowl, or try and be a Super Bowl contender. If it's you want to be a Super Bowl contender, then we know for sure, hey, look, that's one time out of 7 times that every team hasn't made the Super Bowl. So those 1,000 yards that you're basically trying to tell the Steelers to chase after, it may not be in the best interest of the club to chase those 1,000-yard rushing yards for each for both of your running backs or running back and quarterback. So again, with that being said, when people say stuff like this, I got to basically look at that and dive in the weeds about, hey, okay, look, this particular thing doesn't make sense, because if you want to go out there and chase this, it's shown you that, hey, look, it don't always end good for you. Okay, it just doesn't. All right. So these averages right here on the right, on the bottom right, these are about average amount of pass plays, average amount of run plays, and then basically multiplied it by the number of games. So essentially, at the bottom right here, the magic number is 1,028. Those are the plays that you need to basically just be on average with the NFL itself, right? Now, the reason I say the defense matters, because the defense matters if they take the ball away and give it back to you. Now you can possibly get 20 more plays out of it, right? So you get 20 more plays. Now you're above the NFL average in plays. So now that increases your chance to possibly get those two 1,000-yard rushers and whatnot, and possibly get even go over that, right? The other thing about it is, hey, okay, look, the type of offense you have is going to matter too, because you have a team with, I got 4 or 5 wide receivers deep, like for instance, the Houston Texans, right? I got a great wide receiver core. I'm not going to sit back there and give the ball off, to a running back 20 times a game. Just not going to work out for me, because again, I'm taking those particular plays away from my quarterback, who has shown that, hey, he can go in and win me significant games if need be. So again, it also matters about the offensive style and the play calling, who's calling the plays and so forth and so on. So, all right. So let me see if I got any questions. If I don't, I'm gonna keep going. Move to the next topic. Okay. All right, cool. So this is our guy Nick Wright, right? You guys probably know him as being a bronze sexual, as you guys call LeBron fans or whatnot. So Nick Wright has some good points when it comes down to his takes and stuff like that and so forth. But me, when people say stuff like these things, like, hey, okay, Lamar Jackson, he's not a top five quarterback in his eyes because of his performance in the playoffs and so forth. And this is what he put out there. His top quarterback was Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud, and you can put Caleb Williams in there if you allow him to get a rookie. But if he can't take a rookie, he'll take Matthew Stafford and so forth. It's crazy when people put stuff out like this and don't realize, hey, people can go back and look and do their homework on what you're saying. Because again, there's one thing to kind of just talk and put your own opinion out there, but when there's facts out there, look, you can't put lists like this out there. And then especially the backhanded or the reason for it was, hey, he has to play his best game. He's played his worst game playoff appearance that he's had. Basically, is basically what he's been saying. He's saying Lamar basically folds in the playoffs and whatnot. And we're gonna basically sit down and we're gonna look at some of these numbers. And again, I got it. Sometimes the stats don't tell the whole story or whatever it may be. And again, if we're sitting has had in his career was bad then, outside of a couple, right? So when it comes down to it, I just think people are using Lamar Jackson to basically, not so much to slander him, but propel their particular content to a certain level because, hey, you mentioned Lamar Jackson. Because let's be honest, popularity, Lamar Jackson is probably top five, top 10 popular quarterback in the NFL when it comes down to notable names and whatnot. So when people start to mention his name, it's like, hey, look, I need the views, I need the clicks, I want some ooh and ah factor or whatever it be. Look, let me just throw Lamar Jackson on there, put it between two slices of bread, and call it a good ordeal. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. So outside of two of these quarterbacks, or two of these quarterbacks have had legit games, and the other quarterbacks is just like, hey, look, I don't understand how you came up with this particular metric because you said, hey, your quarterbacks they basically don't need to fold in the playoffs. So here's each quarterback last playoff game. I just did a quick little search on Google and looked at all the different stats that they had, the stat lines that they had. And as you can see, Matthew Stafford and Patrick Mahomes, even in the Super Bowl, was 30 of 39. I think he had 200 or 300 some odd yards, but he only had one touchdown, no interceptions. So again, if we're talking, hey, apples to oranges or whatever it may be, again, I just don't see how you could sit here and say somebody's had their worst playoff game when I'm looking right here that three or four of the quarterbacks, 3 out of 5 of the quarterbacks don't have better stats than Lamar Jackson. They don't. They don't. Okay. So again, I got it. You want to call him out and say, hey, he didn't play the greatest game ever in the AFC Championship game. But let's not get ahead of ourselves because your quarterback, who you rated number one, only had one touchdown, just like Lamar Jackson. He probably had a better passing percentage, which is fine. Okay, that's cool. Better pass completion percentage or whatnot. But at the end of the day, pass completion percentages don't win games. Touchdown does. A touchdown wins games. So at the end of the day, you basically criticizing Lamar Jackson for his shortcomings in certain times in the playoffs or whatnot. I mean, that's cool, but I just want you to basically share that love with both sides of the coin. Because again, all the guys that you put out there, you made this your top five. All the guys that you put out there, all of them don't have squeaky clean games in the playoffs. All of them have had shortcomings in the playoffs, just like Lamar Jackson. Now, if you want to sit and say, hey, the overall playoff record, okay, no harm, no foul. But I would caution you that for that too, if you say that, because now I could use that and look at, hey, everybody's a particular playoff. And I would tell you, most quarterbacks have probably had one good run, maybe two good runs when it comes down to winning multiple games in the playoffs. Just being honest with you, everybody don't go and win the Super Bowl every year. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, everybody doesn't go and win the Super Bowl. All right. So let me see if I got any comments. Mike, no comments. Cool. Let's move to the next one. And then right here, this is what I was saying. You know, this is clown behavior, man. I don't know why you put this out in the atmosphere, Nick. Right? But it's not a good look, especially you looking at some of the quarterbacks how they have played. At the end of the day, quarterbacks will struggle. If teams game plan to take your quarterbacks out of it, they're not going to let your quarterback just go up and down the field and do whatever they want to do. No team is just going to sit back and let you beat them. Their best player beat them. That's the number one thing. That hey, look, you're the best player. I'm trying to take your best player out of the game as much as I can. If I can't take your best player out, I'm trying to make sure that hey, all the guys, the 1As, the 1Bs, I'm trying to make sure all those guys are away. And you make sure you have to. I want to make sure you have to rely on some unsung hero to beat me in the playoffs or whatnot. So again, I still like Nick Wright as an analyst or sports broadcaster, whatever you want to call him. But you got to kind of pull it back on the slander of random quarterbacks because hey, quote unquote, I have a bias towards or an alliance towards a certain team that Lamar Jackson plays against. Like, hey, okay, look. You don't guy to where say, okay, look, it's unfair criticism, or it's not even it's basically an opinion. It's an opinion, but you can debunk those opinions with facts. You back them up with facts, and that's just the thing that I don't like when it comes down to people forming opinions and don't realize, hey, there's some facts that's out there that can debunk that particular opinion that you have of said quarterback and so forth. So, but at the end of the day, he's entitled to his opinion, as wrong as it may be. He is entitled to it. So. All right, let me check right quick. Any comments? All right, cool. So no comments. All right, so let's move on to the last topic. All right, and then now before we move on to this last topic, I gotta put it out there. I gotta give you guys a warning. Look, this is my particular top five that I think currently right now is the top. They are the top five in the particular NFL. Now, again, no games are played in June or July or August. All the games are played. The games that matter are going to be played in September and beyond. So again, before you try and chop my head off and say, "Hey, look, coach, I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't agree with this one or I don't agree with that one." If you are here and you're watching, please, hey, drop your top five or drop your top 10 so we can basically discuss it in the comments and to where you can tell me how much of how crazy I am because I don't have your certain team in the top five or whatever it may be, and then I'll basically give honorable mentions to the other five teams that was right outside of my top five. I try and be as fair as possible when I make videos, I make a list or whatever it may be. I try and make them to where, hey, look, I want everybody to kind of understand, hey, look, I'm as objective as I could possibly be when it comes down to hey, look, these particular teams and what they have done and whatever it may be. And I'll give any team their flowers. Even though I'm a diehard Ravens fan, I will give teams their flowers. That includes any of my division rivals. If they're legit, I don't have no issues letting people know, hey, their legitimacy and getting rid of my fandom. A couple of years ago, I thought the Cincinnati Bengals had probably the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. I had no problem coming on here and talking about, hey, the Bengals having the best trio and so forth and so on. So, all right. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce you guys to that. All right. So hopefully you guys can see this, right? Hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job when it comes down to putting this particular thing together. I was trying to make it to say, hey, look, how can I make it as easy as I could possibly make it on everybody's eyes, and then also the way it's visible to where people can understand what teams are what. So before I get to the top five, obviously you guys can read, right? And obviously it goes from the top to the bottom for 1 through 5. But before I go into any of these, I kind of let you guys chew on that for a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you my from 10 to 6 when it comes down to honorable mentions teams, just on the outside of the top 5. So number 10, I put the Tennessee Titans here, And for me, the reason why I put the Tennessee Titans here, because the lack of the run game, like I know they got Pollard, and then I know they got Spears, but their run game has to come in and say, look, we got to complement what we have, because the Tyler Boyd, the Treylon Burks, the DeAndre Hopkins, and then the Calvin Ridley. That's a great receiving core, right? And then you have the tight end. That's a great receiving core, but I would hate that receiving core not to be maximized because they don't have another element that they could branch off into when people sit back and play zone and try and take those things away from you. How are you going to make them pay? That's the real big deal with me. And then the other layer to that is Will Levis. I got it. He's highly regarded in the Tennessee Titans organization. I just want to see him turn that corner. If he turns that corner to where, hey, look, now I can go out and not so much to be looked at not to lose me the game, but I can actually go win the game for some people. Now we're talking, hey, look, defensive coordinators are starting to plan for his particular play. Instead of sitting guarding the receivers, I got to actually watch for certain things when it comes down to back shoulder throws, when it comes down to over the middle throws, when it comes down to ball placement, and so forth. Once Will Levis gets to that particular type of confidence and level, I think the Tennessee Titans can kind of take off and kind of move up in the ranking. Don't know if they'll ever crack the top 5, but they probably could move up definitely from the 10 spot. All right. So moving on, will be number 9. Number 9, I think it'll be the Los Angeles Rams. And again, some people may say, look, hey, I think you got the Rams too low because of Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and company, right? I will tell you, again, I just want to make sure that, hey, he's 100% healthy. If he's 100% healthy, again, I could see the Rams with the mastermind like Sean McVay moving up in this particular rankings of the actual spots when it comes down to the top 5 offenses. I can see them moving up based off the health and the play of Matthew Stafford. So number 8. Number 8 is another one of those teams that, hey, look, depending on their quarterback play, I think they have a really good running back tandem, young running back tandem. But they do have some spots in their wide receiver room when it comes down to the depth. I just don't think they have enough depth. I did like the Malachi. It's the New York Jets. I did like the Malachi Corley signing. I do like the pairing of Mike Williams and Gary Wilson. I do love those pairing. There's a lot of good things that's going on with the offense, right? But we got to make sure that, hey, okay, look, can we keep Aaron Rodgers healthy? If we can keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, and how long is it going to take to acclimate Braylon Allen in the offense? Now, I got it. Hey, some people saying, hey, look, him and Breece Hall may be probably the best running back duo in the league. I'm not going to put that crown on them just yet. I will tell you, if they're able to maximize it, that could be a quite thunder and lightning punch for the New York Jets if their defense stays the way they were last year. So I think the offense is the only thing that held this particular team back. And if they actually hit the stride that they need to hit for offense, I think they'll be a complete team. And they may shock some people. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't contend for the division if Miami was to slip up. So, all right. So number 7, it would be the 49ers. Look, and I know some people are going to come after me because they're going to say, hey, this team was in the Super Bowl last year. And the only reason why I put the 49ers right now, because it appears that Brandon Ayuk is on his way out. If Brandon Ayuk is on his way out, now we're talking, hey, a rookie Ricky Pearsall has to jump in and basically give everything to that offense or that they need, not so much to replace, because I don't like when people say, hey, this particular receiver replaces this particular receiver. Because I don't believe there are no 2 receivers that are 100% alike, right? Some things are just a little smaller, intricate details that are different that basically say, hey, look, this particular person can high point the ball. This particular person can't really high point it like that. This particular person can do back shoulder catches. This particular person like to do low and away catches and so forth and so on. And I just think when you lose a talent like Brandon Ayuk, if he was to be gone, I just think they're probably going to take a hit in the pass game. Now, the next layer to this, if he was to stay, I can see him going out and saying, hey, look, all right, I want to show you guys what I'm really about. Because again, you can have the conversation that, hey, that last year was a fluke year, because hey, you guys was actually looking at other receivers and whatever it may be. We was worried about Christian McCaffrey. We were worried about Debo Samuel, whatever it may be. I don't look at it like that. I look at it to the point to where, hey, look, there are certain calls that they would call him to keep him free or not getting double teamed, Brandon Ayuk. So now it plays into the strengths of that particular receiver. As long as you can continue to do that, offensive coordinator like Kyle Shanahan is known for doing that type of stuff. As long as you can kind of do those things, you can basically give these same type of targets and receptions to any one of your particular receivers, as long as you understand, hey, what the defense is trying to do to you and how do you play to your particular quarterback strengths. So again, I got them at 7, but they could move up as well if they solidify everything with Brandon Ayuk, and then they could possibly crack the top 5. All right, so number 6, I got the Chicago Bears. The reason why I have the Chicago Bears at number 6 is the same thing that happened with the Jets. The defense came along. The defense was doing what they needed to do. It was just the offense that was just, horrendous for them, to where I can't put them a little higher. The other layer to this is they do have a rookie quarterback. And I'm just being honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and struggle. Again, Caleb Williams, yeah, he's number 1 overall pick. But being a number 1 overall pick doesn't solidify and say, hey, look, you're definitely going to come in and get 4,000 yards passing, or you're going to come in and get 35 passing touchdowns, or whatever it may be. None of that stuff matters. You got to still line up and go play the game. Now, does he have a good trio of wide receivers and tight end around him? Absolutely, he does. I love the running back pickup with DeAndre Swift, but then it starts to get cloudy. Hey, when it comes down to your depth, what kind of depth do you have? That means, hey, look, if somebody gets nicked up or banged up or whatever it may be, does that significantly change the makeup of your team, what you can do week in and week out? So again, that's kind of why I couldn't put them directly in my top 5. But again, if they come out and they remain healthy, I will also think, hey, look, these guys will actually move up into the top 5 spots for me that's on the screen right now. So with that being said, I'm going to talk to you about my top 5. Number 5 will be the Green Bay Packers. The reason why I have the Green Bay Packers is because, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of what they've done in the draft, the last 2 drafts. Christian Watson, Dontavius Wicks, Jaden Reed, they got some good guys when it comes down to what they want to do. And this is one of those things where, hey, look, they didn't fall in love with the shiny object. And what I mean by that, they didn't take what Mel Kiper or Todd McShay or what somebody said. They went on and said, hey, look, we have a need for this. We have a need for this. We have a need for the short and intermediate game. Let me take a receiver that's good in the short and intermediate game, a player like Jaden Reed, and make him one of our guys. Number 3, number 2, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter his particular depth chart role. It's a matter about what he's going to give me on the field. And I just think Green Bay has hit home run after home run. Now, these guys are not going to go out and get 1,500 yards every year, but I will tell you, you can't point to too many games to where they were dialed in on 1 or 2 receivers. Most of the time, they were basically trying to get everybody involved. And then the 2 tight ends that they have was Croft and Musgrave. I think those guys are going to be good complementary stars. Musgrave started to come along last year. So again, if you have those 2 tight ends that are actually coming out and playing complementary football and not caring about how many targets they have, I just think Green Bay could kind of surprise some people, and especially with their schedule. So again, that's why I got Green Bay number 5. Number 4, I got the Baltimore Ravens. It's kind of like what I was talking about with Green Bay. If those 2 tight ends can come out and give you something, whereas with Baltimore Ravens, they already have that. They got 2 solidified tight ends and possibly a third if they need it, to where, hey, look, we can go out and say, hey, look, our tight ends can be our focal point in this particular game and we'll still be fine, right? The receiving core, is it the best? I'm not sitting here saying, hey, the Baltimore Ravens have the best wide receiver core or whatever it may be. I'm never going to sit here and say that. What I will tell you, though, it says a lot. It says a lot that you picked a rookie wide receiver in the top, I think it was top 150. And now he has little to no role right now as we speak. So it's almost no pressure. Hey, we spend most of this time just trying to get yourself acclimated to the NFL, so forth and so on. And now it's going to take a couple games or whatever it may be, but there is no immediate pressure on Devontae Walker to come out and say, hey, look, I got to go get 800 yards or I got to get 6 touchdowns this year. He can come out and play, hey, look, I'm in a complimentary role to Rashard Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I'm in a complimentary role at best. So if he can do that and say, hey, look, I'm going to maximize my chances, I think that spells, nothing but good things for the Ravens moving forward. Then if you look at, the quarterback, and you look at the running back, I just think the quarterback and running back is probably, if it's not the top, quarterback and running back trio, if it's not the top one in the league, it's definitely top three between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and have, complete bias because it's my team. I'm just sitting here saying, if you actually look at the teams or the positions and the teams across each team, we're looking at, hey, top 10 or top 5 quarterback, a top 10, top 5 running back. Not too many teams have that. Not too many teams. If they do have it, it's probably a low 7 or maybe a high 2 at one position, and it's probably somebody outside of the top 10 in the other position. So again, I just think, having that along with the receiving core that they have, I just think this is the Miami Dolphins have done some good things in the offseason. A lot of people don't like it, but I think the pickup of Odell is going to help them significantly. Reason why I say it's going to help them significantly because he can do the short and intermediate stuff and not have to worry about being a deep ball threat, right? The only thing I want to ask though is that going to take away from some of the underneath stuff from the other receivers. If that's going to take away some of the underneath stuff from the other receivers, now we're talking about, hey, Tua have to take a little bit more shots down the field when it comes down to basically saying, look, I need to basically, when we get a chance to hit our deep ball, I need to hit these deep balls a lot more because again, the short and intermediate stuff will be there. I just want to make sure that it's not too crowded, right beyond the line of scrimmage. Because now if you got 2 or 3 intermediate routes, I just think it gets real crowded when it comes down to the middle of the field. The other thing I like about Miami is their run game. Believe it or not, a lot of people didn't think Mostert and Archain was going to end up being anything, but there was a time to where Archain, fantasy football wise, was probably one of the top backs. So he had like a 4-week spell to where hey, he was just killing it. So if they get that same type of production from that young running back, I just think, look, Miami could be one of those teams that have a top offensive unit. The issue with Miami, though, is going to be their defense. They lost a lot of guys before that the playoff push. They got a lot of people injured. How are those guys going to recover and come back and play in the season? Do they get all those guys back before week 1? The answer is probably no. So what have they done to say, okay, look, all right, we're going to kind of keep our holes masked as much as we can to where we get in the playoffs. We don't have any kind of gaping holes in our defense, and it's complementary football to the offense. Because if I go out and score 40 points, and then if I give up 42, it doesn't no good having a top offensive unit. All right, so moving to the next team. Hold on. All right, the next team will be the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Look, we we all know what the Philadelphia Eagles have done. 3 years, 4 years in the making, right? The Philadelphia Eagles have done nothing but improve themselves again, and to where hey, they brought some people back, they re-signed some players, and so forth. And I just like what they have done up until this point when it comes down to their run game, their support of Jalen Hurts, and so forth. I just want to see what their defense is going to look like. There was some talks about, hey, they had some organizational issues between coaches or whatever it may be, the issue with the guy, Big Dom, or whatever it may be. There was some structure stuff. Hopefully they got all that out of their system and they can come out and just focus on football, not all the other stuff. They can kind of come out and say, look, we want to go out and show everybody The year we made it to the playoffs or to the Super Bowl, or the year we won the Super Bowl, that stuff wasn't a fluke. We are actually trying to contend for multiple Super Bowls, and now hopefully they can come out and have that be their focal point. I do like Jalen Hurts. I will hope he would have a better season, because again, you still have those people saying, hey, 2 years ago when he was in the running for the MVP, now he had that season that he had last year. Some people are basically trying to write him off, saying, hey, look, he's less than yada yada yada, so forth and so on. And for me, I would hope they would basically, hey, ask those receivers that are not AJ Brown to come out, and Devontae Smith to come out and show what you really are capable of doing. And I believe they can do it, especially with the player. If Dallas Goedert come back healthy, I think he'll be a good piece that can kind of help supplement those two wide receivers. Because if not, people are just going to sit back and play zone, and they're not going to let those guys beat them individually. And then for the last one, the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, the acquisition of Diggs, Stephon Diggs in that offense, the acquisition of Joe Mixon, bringing them in there along with Dameon Pierce. I just think those guys have got the ultimate shot in the arm that they need when it comes down to offense. And I just think that's going to only help CJ Stroud develop. Now people are always one of those people, because you look at what the Houston Texans have done defensively, all that lines up perfectly with what the Houston Texans are trying to do. And I would hope they say, hey, look, we need to try and make it to the AFC Championship or even to the Super Bowl. And I feel that, hey, what they have done defensively lines up with those particular types of goals. Bringing in Danielle Hunter, bringing in Algier, linebacker, signing Jeff Okudah. Again, Jeff Okudah, don't know what you're going to get from him, but having him, being your third cornerback, I think that will help them out tremendously. And some of the stuff they've done in the draft it's going to help them out. So with CJ Stroud, it should be easier for him this year, basically saying, look, I don't need you to throw for 4,100 yards. I don't need you to give me the 35 touchdowns. If you get them, that's fine. However, we're going to ride with our defense and our run game. And CJ, you can just be a good complement to that up until we get into the playoffs. And when we get to the playoffs, that's when we need to basically ratchet everything down and say, okay, look, if we're going to beat a team like a Baltimore or Kansas City or a Buffalo or any of the teams that have been in the playoffs consistently, we got to basically go out and handle our business. Because I know a lot of the Texans fans didn't like the showing in the playoffs against the Ravens and so forth. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, look, well, that's what happens when you play against a juggernaut or whatever it may be. Because I do know, hey, look, we play those particular teams week in and week out. There's no team that's going to win 10 out of 10 times when it comes down to the playoff matchup. So the playoff matchups are kind of different when it comes down to, hey, who's going to get exposed, what particular player is going to be taken away from us, what particular person is going to step up for us. And that's on both sides of the ball, offense or defense. And that's with both teams that's playing in the playoffs. So again, when you start to have those unsung heroes that come through for you in the playoffs or in the big moments, now we're sitting and saying, hey, look, that was not part of our game plan. However, once we exposed a certain matchup, that became part of our game plan. So those in-game adjustments matter so much when it comes down to coaching. Because at the end of the day, if you were to line all these teams up, most of these teams are kind of comparable when it comes down to how they line up talent-wise, whether it be offense, defense, have a good quarterback, have a good linebacker core, whatever it may be. A lot of these teams are kind of equal or pretty similar when it comes down to a talent level, right? And when they get in the playoffs. So the thing that kind of take you over the hump is the coaching. You got the right coaches making the right decisions, putting the right personnel on certain personnel. When they get to a certain defensive look or offensive look, that kind of stuff propels you into the next level when it comes down to go and compete for Super Bowls and so forth. So, all right. So let me see if I got any comments. Elk, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Nightmare. Just checking in with me. So yeah, the thing about these particular lists, again, these lists change all the time. So again, this is just what I see from outside looking in. It could change it could change a lot. The Texans they have a couple of injuries or people don't turn the corner like they think. They're not guaranteed to stay in the number one spot. Who knows? The Ravens, they may struggle coming out. They may not stay in the top five. They may go down to the top, the bottom five or the top 10. So if that happens, there's no guarantee that, hey, because you're number 9 offensively, you don't make the playoffs or you can't contend for a Super Bowl. None of this stuff kind of really matters. However, it does matter when it comes down to, okay, look, where we are looking or how we stack up against the odds of the team that we're going to play against. So again, if I have something wrong on here, please feel free to call me out. Hey, coach, I think you got this one wrong. There's no way the Bears are not top 5, or there's no way the Titans are not top 5. I will listen to what you're saying, and we could talk about it. We could discuss it, and then who knows? I may have a change of heart. If I have a change of heart, maybe the next list I do, I'll take that stuff into consideration. All right. So, like I said, I wasn't going to be on here very long, taking too much of you guys' time. But if you haven't already, hey, be sure to make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to come on and say, hey, your channel's trash, whatever it may be, I enjoy the interaction, and you can kind of give me some pointers to kind of, hey, look, change my particular video style, the makeup of it, so forth and so on. So, all right, so I'm gonna give you guys about 2 minutes. If you got any kind of comments or anything that you want to make, feel free to drop me a comment. If you want to give me some kind of pointer or whatever it may be, please feel free to do so. And then I'm gonna probably get up off of here and let you guys get ready to watch the NBA Finals. As a matter of fact, who you guys got for the game 2 tonight between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics? Do you think the Mavericks tie it up, or do you think the Celtics go up 2-0 in the finals tonight? All right. So I'll give you guys about a minute more to tell me who you got winning the game tonight when it comes down to the NBA Finals. You got the Mavericks or you got the Celtics? Mavericks or Celtics? All right. So some people are saying, hey, Mavericks, got a couple Celtics. Okay. Celtics by 20. I don't know about that. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. All right. So again, like I said, I'm not going to take too much of you guys' time. And again, thank you guys for all the support. And then thank you guys for any continued support. If you got something that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave me a comment. I'll basically try and get to that particular comment, and we'll have that particular discussion at a later date. Until next time, I'll see you guys. You guys have a good rest of your weekend and enjoy your time, and go Celtics, I guess. Peace.